and welcome back to the AMS UV Cricket Club podcast, the Overcast podcast. A lot's been happening in cricket recently, and let's start off with the Ashes, of course. What a series it has been so far, and we've seen the contest between the Baseball and the Aussies, and it's really lived up to expectations. Ishan, what have you thought of the Ashes series so far?
Just an amazing series so far. Like you said, a lot of cricket has been happening, but I mean, to see such high quality cricketers and see such high quality cricket being played right now is it's really unbelievable. The kind of cricket that we got to see over the past few weeks. The Ashes itself, like you said, some amazing players and amazing performances, some controversial moments as well in between. But really good to see two great teams going against each other. Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing. But what do you think has been the key standout sort of moments in this Ashes series so far? Obviously, Australia's 2-0 up, but I don't think that scoreline sort of depicts the entire picture. A lot has been happening beyond that, just the scoreline. So what do you think about that?
I think a lot of IB kids will relate on our year that statistics conceal and reveal.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
in this case, they certainly do. It's not
Hmm.
the 2-0 we think it is. It's been a very closely fought battle. And what I like about both teams, they're constantly at it. It's not that one team has taken the game away from the start and there's no coming back after that. So I think that's been the good part. We've seen baseball falter a bit. That's been the interesting part of this series. From very tactical games, now it's become very random chat GPT almost tactics by England. Starting off with the day one declaration on in the first test. Like, what was that? I mean, I didn't get it. Like, were you on board with that kind of declaration?
It was interesting because I've never really seen decisions like that. Declaring on day one is pretty surprising. I didn't really understand it fully at the time, but what it does is it sends the right message. I think England were showing their intent that we're here to win the game. We don't really care about anything else. We don't want to draw it. We don't want to waste time. We just want to get in there, get a few wickets. So if they would have got a few wickets at the end of the day, we would have been sitting here saying it was a brilliant move, but that didn't. That wasn't the case. Talking about the baseball sort of aspect of it, it's faltering a bit, like you said. I think, like we talked about, like you mentioned in the last episode, Australia's bowling lineup doesn't really allow England to bat as freely as it did against Pakistan or someone else. But yeah, just sort of reckless batting has been the downfall. I feel players like Harry Brook playing that kind of a shot just didn't make sense to me. The recklessness was a big issue for me. The intent, I think, is brilliant. I don't think they should ever change that going forward, but just making sure that the shot selection is on point. They're picking the right bowlers to attack. That sort of decision making needs to be better. But yeah, Australia was just too good. What did you think about Pat Cummins and how he led the team? The sort of intent he showed, because I mean, to attack a aggressive sort of team, you need to be aggressive yourself. So I thought Pat Cummins was brilliant. He was a bit defensive in his field setting, but that too was a deliberate sort of attempt to cut out the boundary options from England on day one, and that was also his sort of aggressive move from a fielding point of view. So what did you think about him and Australia?
I think it was so unexpected for Australia to do well against baseball because in the past we've seen Australia panic in these kind of situations where the game is going away from them, and certain times in baseball the game does go away from them, from the opposition. And Australia, and as you mentioned, Pat Cummins has been quite spot on. Even that chase with Gaza,
Mm-hmm.
that saved them the game. And that's really been the hallmark of this Ashes series. No one team is taking it away. Both captains are very strategic. There's some friendliness, but there's also some banter, which
Mm-hmm.
brings me to Johnny Walker himself, the the man who took a stroll and has therefore sparked international controversy.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Do you feel that that was the right move?
It was. I mean, my initial sort of reaction was that was a bit messed up. It hurts to get out in such a fashion. Why would it do that? Surely he calls him back, and But I took some time. But yeah, to me, it's pretty simple. It's pretty clear that it's in the law book. It's allowed. You're allowed to do that. And Alex Carey observed that he was moving out of his crease for the past 2 3 balls, and then he did that. So I think it was very calculated and it was brilliant. It was a very smart decision from Alex Carey to get him out. And this sort of conversation around spirit of the game, I think it's a bit misleading nowadays. Sometimes people weaponize it, and the England fans obviously crying about it, even though players like Stuart Broad have nicked it and not walked. So a lot of these conversations have been happening. But to me, it's pretty simple. Like I said, if it's in the law book, there's no better way to respect the spirit of the game than to play the than to play the game by the rules. So, do you agree with that, or do you think that maybe they should have called him back like Dhoni did?
Well, I remember when Dhoni did it, and actually, I was like, wow, such a good team, such a good captain. And then Ian Bell went on to score 235. So I don't think so there's any benefit to calling back.
Right.
There's no Paytm Fair Play Award. So even if you display the so-called spirit of the game, I don't think so it's helping you in any way.
Mhm.
So yeah, and as I think, there's a lot of controversy with the MCC members as well,
Right.
abusing Usman Khawaja. So it is a gentleman's game after all, but I think the gentleman aspect should be off the field and the laws of the game should take on the field.
Right.
I really believe in that, and I think what Australia did was just smart and the delusional part from England's side is that they believe that if Bairstow wasn't run out, England would have won the game.
Yeah.
That's the delusional part, but they almost did, and which brings me to my next point. Ben Stokes, I mean, wow, what a genius of a player he is. Like, which side were you on? Like, I know the Instagram polls were constantly flickering between Australia and England,
Yeah.
but which side were you on?
When the day started, it was all Australia. We kind of never expected England to even get close to tea, but they did. And just Ben Stokes doing what he does. I think he wasn't in the greatest of forms going into this innings, and to come up with such a performance like he did back in Headingley, just what a player. I mean, I look up to him a lot because of his character. He stands up, gets his team out of such a tough situation, and 155, just scoring sixes, the most by any Ashes player in any Ashes series. So yeah, just an amazing innings to watch. Just his confidence when he stands at the crease, looks at the bowler, sends a message, and I'm gonna get you. Just incredible innings from him. He almost did it. I really wanted him to do it, to be very honest, because firstly Australia's 1-0 up already. To see him coming back, putting England up on the board to level the series would have been amazing. But it's still nothing to take away from his innings and his effort, because it was just unbelievable, his innings. So yeah, what do you think of Stokes' innings, and do you think England will be able to bounce back after such a huge effort from the captain himself?
I mean, Baz himself has said that we are 2-0 down, so now we're gonna get 3-2 up. I don't know. I just feel like it's this kind of overconfidence that often gets teams. But if Stokes remains and if Harry Brook finds some form, I feel England should be on board because the bowling has been fantastic
Right.
from both the teams. It's been remarkable, and if Harry Brook, gets that innings going, because he and Stokes are real aggressors in the England team. So, and Zach Crawley has been doing his part. So I definitely think England have a chance at this, but they really need to get their batting in order. And once they do, I think Australia will have a game on their hands. For now, I'm saying Australia take the Ashes for now, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah, I think Australia are looking pretty strong. It's very difficult to not give Australia more credit because this has been their year. The kind of cricket they've been playing. But to make it more interesting, I would say England makes it 3-2. I mean, if that happens, then we're in for a lot of exciting cricket up ahead. But
we'll have this clip shot and sent everywhere.
Yeah, we'll do that. But yeah, that'll be amazing if that happens. And but if that doesn't happen, if they do go 5-0 down, then it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back up. Do they then continue with this whole baseball sort of approach, or do they have to then look at tweaking this approach? So that'll be interesting to watch. That'll be another story in itself. But I guess moving on, there's been a lot of other cricket that's been happening. Moving to Zimbabwe, where the qualifiers have been taking place, the World Cup qualifiers. some very exciting cricket there itself. We've been covering that on our social media as well. West Indies has been the huge talking point. So let's talk about them first, I guess, because we've seen teams like Scotland, Zimbabwe, and the Netherlands beating them pretty comfortably. And to see such teams also come up, evolving over the years and becoming more strong. And beating teams like West Indies is not a joke in any format with any team. I mean, that was a huge talking point. So, what do you think about West Indies and these teams sort of beating them?
It's been very drastic to see the West Indies downfall. I expected them to qualify. I really did. I thought they were a good enough team. They had the players. They had guys like Shea Hope in the ranks. Kason Holder was there. So it's not as if the team was bad, but I think a lot of people are accrediting West Indies having a poor team or a poor intent, but they're not realizing the growth of cricket in reality.
Yeah.
I think I was watching one particular game, which is Nepal against Zimbabwe, and Zimbabwe is a well-established team, right? But the opening partnership was so impressive with Nepal. I think they breached 150 against Zimbabwe. So I really am impressed by the ICC's efforts in developing these associate nations. And Scotland, Zimbabwe, and Netherlands, like, wow, remarkable stuff. Especially Zimbabwe with their high-class cases. Sikandar Raza has been just amazing. It's quite unfortunate they failed to qualify, but and Netherlands with Van Beek, Mr. Superman right there.
Yeah.
Scoring 30 in a super over against the West Indies. And in a tie game, chasing 374. Like, I'm sorry, even King Kohli can't get there. I'm sorry. This is just next clutch level stuff. But yeah, what are your thoughts? Like, what do you think went wrong for the West Indies, and like, how do you feel about these new teams coming up?
Yeah, I mean, Jason Holder can't catch a break because he got hit for a lot of sixes in the IPL as well, and now coming in for the West Indies, it's pretty. I mean, talking about the West Indies as a whole, it's pretty sad to see the kind of downfall they've had. Like you said, it's been pretty drastic. And a lot of arguments have been made for why. And franchise cricket, like we talked about in the last episode, I think has been a scapegoat for many people. I think people have said that players like Andy Russell, Sunil Narayan, they've been missing. The big players have been gone to other franchises and playing cricket all over the world. And I mean, to an extent, that is true because both those players, Russell and Narayan, have been playing for pretty much every single Knight Riders team there is in the world, including LA Knight Riders now in the MLC.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, look, I think the board will have a lot of questions to answer going forward. They need to bank on their senior players. They need to show some confidence in them and grow some talent as well. I don't think there's any lack of talent in that team. Maybe it's just a question of chemistry, it's just a question of experience and good management. And I trust Darren Sammy at the top to make some changes in the team and really show what they're worth in the upcoming series against India. I guess we could transition to that because that's the next thing for West Indies. I think that's a great opportunity for them to come out of this tough situation and show that they are worth those two World Cup titles. They won back in 75 and 79, so they are worth that sort of a title. So yeah, great series coming up next. What's your take on that series? And because there are a lot of questions for India as well to answer, right? So coming up from that WTC final, so how do you see India answering those questions and West Indies answering a few as well?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a interesting series as well because for some reason every time India loses a major ICC tournament, we go to the West Indies to salvage some victory. It happened in 2017, it happened in 2019, and here we go again. But I think it's going to be a testament for India with their new playing style. I think Rohit mentioned after the WTC final loss that, this is the new way we play. We just go all at it. We don't care if we get out. So that's going to be interesting. And that's why I think a player like Cheteshwar Pujara has been left out, despite the averages and numbers being very similar to Virat Kohli. But it's quite unfortunate that he's been left out. And there are replacements for him as well. From the West Indies perspective, I think, it's trying to pick up those pieces and really test themselves against, test their determination, test their really willpower for this form of cricket against a very strong team, because they will be tested, and it's not a big lie that they are the underdogs.
Right.
They are the underdogs in this series. But yeah, going to the point of Pujara, who do you think comes in his place in the Indian team?
Yeah, that's an interesting one because one sort of suggestion is Kohli goes at 3, which could happen, but I don't think they'd look to change that unless you want a major change, and Ajit Agarkar has selected someone like Ruturaju Gaikwad to come in at 3. So maybe Gaikwad plays because they've also picked Yashasvi, but I don't think they'll slot in Yashasvi at 3. But yeah, that's an interesting one, which I'm not very sure about what they're going to do with that. But it'll be interesting to see Ruturaj and how he goes if he's picked at 3 and then Kohli goes in at his regular spot at 4. But yeah, India, I think what they wanted to do with this sort of selection is make a big call. Resting Pujara, I think it sends out, again, it sends out a message. I think a lot of boards are trying to do that, sending a message that they want to change big. But the question for me is, if you've rested Pujara, what are the criteria that you used to rest him out? Why are you not resting someone like a Kohli or Rohit, for example? But that's sort of the question I
Absolutely.
have with that. Why only Pujara? What has he done? He's been our stalwart of Indian cricket. So I mean, I've been a huge fan of Pujara, but maybe that influence of baseball has also been showcased in the Indian selection. Maybe the Indian Cricket Board wants that sort of positive outlook in that batting lineup. People scoring runs is sort of the favored direction that we want to go in. So maybe that's the sort of ideology that they want to go with. But it'll be interesting to see what they do with the Test squad. But yeah, the ODI squad is pretty normal. I think that's the conventional sort of squad that is picked with Rohit to lead. I had a sort of inclination that maybe Shikhar Dhawan would lead, but in my opinion, that was the wrong call because with the ODI World Cup coming in, I think it's better to have Rohit captaining and get some experience there as well. So
Yeah.
what do you think about that T20 squad selection, though? I mean, a lot of new incoming youngsters from the IPL coming in for the Indian team. So are you excited about that?
Yeah, I'll get to that, but it's funny you bring up Shikhar Dhawan because the Asian Games has cricket coming up in this
Right.
year, and apparently from some news sources, Shikhar Dhawan and Lakshman would be at the helm. But I feel bad for them. It's almost like nobody's taking them to prom,
Yeah.
and they are left with the one cousin that nobody wants to take to prom, and you know. But anyway, Shikhar Dhawan's happy. He's making TikToks and Instagram reels.
Yeah.
But yeah, the T20 squad. It's quite interesting. It's good. A guy like Tilak Verma is getting a chance. It's good that Samson is getting chance in both ODIs and T20s. I think they're really looking into keeping option for the World Cup later on in the year. So I think that's good. But what surprised me is no Rinku Singh and no real left arm presence. Like I know they have Unadkat, but I really don't get the hype of Unadkat at this point unless it's for warming benches. They're better left armers. Yes, they are. But no, but on Arshdeep is not also in the squad, which really surprises me.
Right.
In the ODI squad, sorry, not in the T21. He's in the T21.
Yeah.
And Mohit Sharma didn't get a goal, so those are a few things. But I think with more matches, they might experiment a bit more. For now, I think there's a pretty set T20 playing 11. I think Kishan and Gill go on top. But who comes in number 3 in your perspective? With Tilak, Sky, Samson, who do you think should go there?
Yeah, I think it's very difficult to look past Sky the way he's been going at the moment. I think he's in tremendous form. So, and I think he's been named as a vice captain as well. So he's an exciting prospect for us going forward in the next 4, 5, 6 years. So yeah, Sky at 3. And then at 4, 5, I think you could shift around, but giving Samson a run would be the right call for me. You've not been picking him up consistently over the years, so I think now finally Sanju Samson should have his spot confirmed in the squad, at least against West Indies. So yeah, I think Samson at 4 and 5. Do you see someone like a Tilak Verma coming in and finding a spot, or do you see them picking someone else?
I feel like Hardik Pandya might come in at number 5, or even Hardik Pandya might come in at number 3 with the Gujarat Titans
Right,
role he was playing.
right.
So that could be something, but Tilak is definitely someone they should try out in this series.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Bapu Akshar Patel gets in a place at number 7 for sure,
Right.
with the kind of batting and bowling prowess he has. And who are your paces for this series? Like there is a wide range to choose from, but who do you think should play?
Yeah, I think they've picked a lot of youngsters. They've picked Umran Malik again. I would like to see him have a good run in the series, find some form. And I think Arshdeep Singh, like you said, he's not in the ODI squad for whatever reason. But if you've picked him in the T20 squad, at least play him there because he's a phenomenal talent. Right from the IPL, he's also playing some cricket in England right now. So yeah,
Yep.
really excited to see him and how he goes in conditions where the ball does bounce a bit. So yeah, Arshdeep Singh, a tall left-arm bowler, will be pretty exciting to watch. And in terms of other bowlers, I guess LSG's Avesh Khan finds his spot. Avesh Khan.
The
But
Chase King.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think even with his height, he's a hit the deck bowler, so I think he'll be very effective on those West Indian tracks. And I guess like if you have Aksar at 7, you could have Yuzi Chahal to bring some leg spin. But do you see this bowling lineup, switch around quite a bit, or do you see Hardik Pandya sticking with this bowling lineup throughout the series?
I think Hardik Pandya is a captain that experiments a lot with his team. Saw that with Gujarat Titans as well.
Right.
But with the Indian thing, the major difference between Gujarat Titans and the Indian team is that the Indian team needs constant changing because of injuries, unavailability. So I think they would definitely, especially in the spin department, because we have Bishnoi, we have Yadav, we have Chahal. So
Right.
all of these are amazing bowlers, but I think every one of them would get a go. And possibly on a ranked turner in the West Indies, they might even play them. But what surprises me about Hardik Pandya as captain is when they axed Kohli as captain or he resigned as captain, we were told that, oh, India doesn't want split captaincy as a concept. But
Mhm.
right now, Rohit's not captaining for the past few series and Hardik's captaining, so it all seems fine. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, and Dhawan, if he captains in the Asia Cup, we got 3-4 captains at the same time. But yeah, I don't know what's going on. I think India needs to find some answers, find some consistency. And I
Yeah.
think with the World Cup coming in, they need to be sure about their game plan, be sure about their bowlers. Not picking Arshdeep Singh in the ODI squad like you mentioned. What's the mindset behind that? What's the thinking behind that? So as long as the thinking is clear and they're sure about what they're doing, I think we can trust the board right now. But yeah, some big answers need to be found as soon as possible. I'm not sure West Indies is the right venue or the right team to find those answers against, but I think something's better than nothing. So yeah, I'm excited to watch this series and see how India approach it because something needs to change.
Absolutely. And yeah, I see this series hopefully a clean sweep by India. I expect nothing less because I mean we are bilateral bullies. I think we should keep something at our helm as well.
Right.
But I hope West Indies give India a tough fight as well. Because seeing West Indies come back is going to be major. What are your expectations from the series?
Like you said, I think we should not expect anything less than a complete whitewash. Taking nothing away from West Indies, they're a phenomenal team and they need to, show what they would, like I said. But yeah, India needs to sort of show the dominance because West Indies is a team where we should, we should defeat them easily and get some practice under our belt with the World Cup coming up. So yeah, nothing less than a whitewash. You should be very strong against them. And every player needs to find some forms. It's a great opportunity for the youngsters to show that they are capable of being selected in the main ODI World Cup squad. So yeah, looking forward to the series and just can't wait to watch what's coming up next.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that concludes our podcast, and we really enjoyed making these podcasts. The next one will be coming after a while, but hopefully we'll be back in our main studio.
Mhm.
And we really appreciate the response we're getting on Instagram as well. And please like the video and like share in your comments. What are your thoughts on the squad and a lot of the topics we discuss. And if you want us to discuss something, please feel free to DM us as well on Instagram. Yeah, thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next podcast. Thank you.